Yep.
All right. Everybody ready to start here?
Yep.
Okay. Let's call this meeting of the Norwalk City Council to order. Lindsay, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Reva,
Here.
Cool,
Here.
Livingston, Mayor Tom Phillips.
Okay, we have a quorum. So the first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would y'all please rise and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, would any of you like to move any of the consent agenda items to the regular agenda? Okay, hearing none. Let's see. I need to read what's in the agenda, right?
You can get approval of agenda.
Okay, all right. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Right, approved and seconded. Would you please call the vote, Lindsay?
That one's just a voice vote, Ed.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same side. Okay, very good, motion's carried.
I think you have to vote too, Ed.
Aye. Okay, we don't have any items tonight for a dedicated work session, so we'll be able to move through that.
Shoot. Doggone it.
I know. Anyway, I want to welcome all of our guests here and let you know that if you'd like to make a comment, it's a 3-minute limit. If you'd like to address anything that's not on the agenda, you can also speak to items in the consent agenda if you'd like. Do I have any takers? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. No presentations this evening, so I'll go over what's in the consent agenda here that we're about to vote on. We have expenditures, we have tax abatement, we have the minutes of our February 2nd meeting, council meeting. We have a special event application for a fundraiser at City Park on May 13th. We're going to set a public hearing here for March 2nd to approve the fiscal year 24 budget. Have a resolution for setting March 2nd, 2023 for a public hearing regarding the establishment of HH Norwalk planned unit development. We also have a resolution setting March 2nd, 2023 for a public hearing regarding an amendment to the Brody's Landing planned unit development parcel A land use. Resolution approving the pay estimate number 2 to the Des Moines Waterworks for G14 feeder main project. A resolution approving an agreement with the shredder for participation in the 2023 residential paper shredding program. And resolution approving an agreement with SPI Des Moines for participation in the 2023 residential white goods program. A resolution approving an agreement with Metro Waste Authority for participating in the 2023 residential scrap tire program. A resolution approving an agreement with A-Tech Recycling for the 2023 residential e-waste disposal program. And a resolution to approve pay estimate number 1 to Electric Conduit Construction Company for Sunset Drive, Iowa Highway 28 and North Avenue intersection improvements project. We have a resolution to approve the purchase of a public works streets vehicle. Resolution approving field and ride-along agreement with DMAC. We have correspondence and we have our monthly reports. Can I get a
Make
motion?
a motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. And this got to be roll call. Yeah, okay. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
and Cool.
Yes. Okay, on to old new business. We will open the public hearing at 6:06 p.m. And our last meeting, we had a public hearing for the maximum levy as it relates to our upcoming fiscal year 24 budget. Today's the next step in our budget process. We're holding a public hearing for the capital improvements plan. It's a 5-year plan for large projects. Generally speaking, these are projects over $25,000 and are generally not recurring. The finance and CIP work groups have had a chance to review the CIP. City Council has also had a chance to review the CIP. Our citizens and businesses have had an opportunity to review the CIP. This is the time and the place for public comment. So Jean Kelly, do you have anything to add?
I do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Before I give a report on the capital improvement plan, I just wanted to mention that there is a bill in the state legislature. They're considering making some changes to the property tax system. And as it's currently written, these changes could happen as quickly as July 1, 2023, which would affect this budget that we are talking about tonight. If that happens, I could foresee maybe making some changes to the lost portion of this budget, the lost CIP items. I believe the public works and the enterprise fund projects would probably remain as stated. I'm not saying the changes would happen for sure, but just know that there may need to be some modifications. If it happens this July, we really have some big decisions to make. We are hopeful that they will delay this at least a year and not implement these changes until July of 24. And then, this is due to the fact that most local governments' budgets are near completion or complete at this point. So I just wanted to mention that before I get into the CIP. The Finance Committee did review the CIP items in December, and then the mayor and council approved these on January 19th at their study meeting. This is a 5-year plan that outlines the city's larger capital improvements and equipment. The city council is being asked to approve only the items listed under fiscal year 24. The remaining 4 years are a guide, and they are subject to change each year based on priorities. In saying that, I'm going to look, the document itself is about 4 pages, and I thought I would kind of go quickly through some of the projects. I think I'll just focus on 24. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to start with administration at the top. There are 4 projects. These are all being paid utilizing lost funds. We have a roof, City Hall roof that's in dire need of repair. We keep patching it, it's leaking, and we've been putting this off. We put $90,000 in this year to get that done. The airport, the city is committed to $50,000 a year over 5 years. The first $50,000 coming out this current fiscal year. This is for the new terminal that they're putting in. We put $183,000 in for the Southern Loop. This is Snyder and Associates has been hired to look at the city's potential expansion to the west toward Interstate 80, and this has begun. We put 75,000.
35, Gene.
Did I say 80?
Yeah. We knew what you meant.
That's all right. It scared me a little bit, Jean, but it's all right.
Thank you. I did mean Interstate 35. We put 75,000 in there for a project that's a citywide project. We've had some projects in the past that are citywide. They affect all departments, and so we generally just place them under administration. Phone system would be an example, and the building access and security upgrades or updates would be another example. This potentially likely to go away if we have to make some changes. Community development, they have 3 projects. The sidewalk to trail expansion project and the ash tree remediation. Those are both paid out of lost. There's 100,000 in there for the housing, LMI housing rehab program. 50,000 of that is coming from the TIF LMI fund that is generated off of the Echo Valley TIF district due to the residential portion of that. And then 50,000 was secured by community development, a grant. So that's why there's 100,000 in there for that. Under economic development, these are all TIF funded projects. We have $100,000 in there for the commercial improvement grant program, 25,000 for the certified site program. This is for administrative fees to get that done through the state of Iowa. We put 25,000 in there each year for community beautification and improvements. We don't necessarily spend this. It's just if needed. This is for like benches or planters or art in certain areas that we're trying to improve and make look nicer. The Norwalk entryway monument sign, 150,000. This was originally approved in 2021, but keeps getting delayed due to the development in that area. We're not sure what's going to happen, so we're trying to kind of coordinate that with that. So that's still in there, and it just shows up every year, but we officially did approve it in 2021. The fire and EMS department have two projects that are being paid for with lost funds: the SCBA air cylinder fill station and equipment and gear replacement. The library has one project that we believe will probably be funded with a short-term loan in conjunction with some other projects. This is for carpet, to get the carpet in there, get all the furniture moved and the labor associated with it, and then a security gate as well in the library. On the next page, we have Parks and Recreation. Most of their projects are also paid utilizing lost funds. We have set aside some money for Mackinac Complex. Various parks throughout the community, we put 50,000 in there. That's for trees, benches, anything, any improvements that need to happen. Maybe a piece of equipment needs to be repaired. Mower replacement, an aerator, multi-packer, tennis courts refurbish, $50,000. That is a reimbursement to the school for the tennis courts the city uses. The school has already made those improvements. We did put $168,000 in for a regional park. We believe with the new legislation that could potentially go away. And so we'll just kind of keep you updated on that one. And then we have 250,000 in there for core equipment and furnishings. Potentially the building is going to be open in March of next year. We thought we'd put some money in there to start getting some equipment and furnishings. That would more than likely be a short-term loan situation in addition to the library. The police department has 4 projects. These are all being funded through the LOST program. We have 3 police vehicles in there. We have the public safety and building HVAC project. That project is a lot more than the money that's been placed in there. It's looking like that will be changed as well, probably placed into that short loan situation as well. We'll bring that to you and give you an update on that project. Police radios, we have 100,000 in there this year and next. We're upgrading those in conjunction with the Westcom radios, similar to what we did with the fire department just recently. And then 50,000 for police equipment. Next, we have the Public Works Department. We put $600,000 in annually for street maintenance. These are improvements throughout the city that are prioritized by our Public Works Department. 300,000 of that comes from road use and 300,000 from lost. Highway 28 and intersection. This is a project that has already started. We have engineering on that, and we've already borrowed the funds for it. Traffic signals at Highway 28 in Chatham and traffic signals at Highway 28 in Echo are both scheduled to start in 24. We do believe.
Hey, Gene, this is Wayne.
Okay.
That Echo Drive, that should be the signals at 28 and the eastbound ramps. That's my bad. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Okay. And you know what? I should have known that too, because we talked about that. So no problem. Yes, that's the eastbound ramps, and we'll be bringing that forward. We do believe the city of Des Moines and IDOT will put in a significant portion of that. The city's portion, we believe, will only be about 25% of that 400,000. The Chatham one, we do believe will go into the next year. We'll probably start it later in 24 and finish it in 25. On the next page, oh, both of those signals will be paid for using TIF funds.
Hey, Gene.
Yes.
Hey, an important point. I just thought of this as you were naming these off, something that's good for council or even citizens looking at this. The first number that shows up where it says STR-16, just to give folks an idea how long we put some of these projects in for planning. That first number indicates the year that this was first put in the CIP. So as you'll see, a lot of those were back in 2016. And then you start to see the more common or earlier projects now going into this next page up to the most current one at the bottom, which is 22. And then the last three numbers show, was that the first project, second project, third project in that year? Sorry, Gene, I just thought that was a good thing to point out to folks.
Absolutely. Good point. The next project, Blue Stem Road and Prairie Sage construction. This is 200. We've already started the engineering this current year, so we have some money in this current year. And then the 250,000 in 24 would be the remainder of the engineering for that project. The construction is not scheduled till 2025, and we still have to borrow the money for that project. Concrete and asphalt recycling, we put 75,000, and that is from the road use tax funds. The next project down for 30,000, so if Highway 5 gets designated as an interstate, the 30,000 would be what Norwalk's cost would be for the new signage if that did indeed change. That would be paid for out of TIF funds. The certified site 2.0 street infrastructure, that 200,000 is engineering with construction scheduled the next year. This is all development driven and would be paid utilizing TIF general obligation funds. And finally, the last project under Public Works is street repairs equipment. This is for a roller and asphalt patching equipment and would be paid utilizing road use tax funds. The next department is sewer department. We put 80,000 a year for sewer maintenance. We have 15,000 in there for long-term planning. We put 150,000 in there for the Signature Homes development agreement that was approved 2 years ago. That is based on a number of homes that they actually put in. That number is an estimate. East 27th Street, 80th Street, East 27th, 80th Street lift station at Holland Point. That project began as the development agreement with Hubble. They were going to put a smaller lift station in, and we decided if we put in a larger one, we could expand to the east and serve a larger area. Engineering has begun on that, and sewer revenue loan would be acquired to pay for that project. Stormwater department, we put 60,000 in there for maintenance. We do have 85,000 in there for design and to begin engineering on Cherry Parkway drainage with 500,000 and $1 million in the next 2 years. However, due to the Beardsley project and the change and the cost and scope of that, we believe that that will be delayed a year. We'll need, there's about $800,000 of stormwater work for for Beardsley, and we're going to need to use some of those funds for that project. So again, that one will probably be delayed out 1 year. Water department, we set aside 60,000 a year for purchasing Warren Rural Water Territory. New water tower, we have 200,000 in this current year's budget to purchase land. The 500,000 you see in 24 is to begin the engineering on that. The 4 million the following year is for the actual construction of the tower. We do believe this one potentially could be moved out a year as well. And then we have 120,000 that we put in there for water meter replacements. We try to, keep our meters updated in good working order. On the last page, We have 75,000 for development water main upsizing. A developer comes in, wants to put a water main in. If we deem it's a benefit for us to put in a larger main, we will pay the difference to do that. So we put some funds in each year to account for that. And then the final project out of the water department is a Founder's Water Main Improvement Project. We have about 800,000 remaining from the Western Water Feeder Main projects, the two phases. And we believe that that money would be well spent on one of those Founders projects. We've kind of been delaying those until the feeder main project was complete. So the total is about a little over 12 million. If you look at 25 and those years out, you're going to see big numbers. Obviously, those will be modified to fit within our budget means and are just kind of placeholders and projects that departments would like to see happen. With that, if you have any questions for me or any of the department heads on a particular project, be happy to answer those.
Any questions from the council?
Are we still in open for the public?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, hearing no questions. Let's see, Lindsay, have you received any public correspondence or comment on this item?
We have not.
Okay, very good.
I will say that correspondence that I have received through David Lester and even the mayor, we did have one citizen that inquired, had a few questions about some projects, specifically about Meadow. Is that right, Wayne? We were able to answer all of his questions. I think we addressed that. I didn't receive anything additional that he wanted brought up during this meeting.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll close the public hearing at this time. And see, now we've had a public hearing on this item. And we'll now take action to adopt the CIP as presented or modify it as necessary. Does the council have anything to add or change?
Great work, staff. A lot of work and a lot of planning's gone into this.
Yes. Years of planning.
I haven't heard, I haven't heard when this lost is going to take effect. You acted like you didn't know either, Gene.
Well, the lost is actually different from what I was talking about. That's another study bill, and they are looking at that as well. They are looking at
Increasing the state 1%. Yeah.
correct,
And then
removing
doing away with lost.
Yeah, but then giving us so much back from
Yeah.
that.
I don't
That's
know how all this is going to affect us.
Right. That's why, we can always look at doing an amended budget as we need to.
Yeah.
And with all the different bills that are swirling right now at the Capitol, it's hard to tell, what'll make it through, and it's hard to tell what it'll look like. So we need to just be as flexible as we can be, I think, right now, not knowing what's going to happen for sure.
I think this looks good.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, with no other discussion, then can I get a motion to approve?
Motion, Reba.
Second,
Okay, motion by Reba and seconded by Baker. Okay, Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Baker,
yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Lester.
Yes.
Let's see, we are down here. Okay, we're having a
6C.
right here. All the public hearing to dispose of real property. There it is. No, it's down there. Well, we moved right along. Okay, we'll now open a public hearing to dispose of real property. And the time on this public hearing is 6:25 p.m.
basically what this is the two lots that are shown right now on the televisions. As far as disposing of that park ground that was out there on Orchard Hills Drive that the council's previously discussed a couple times, and we've entered into a purchase agreement. This first one, we got two different hearings because we have two different parcels. So we're gonna have parcel A hearing, and then after parcel A hearing, then we'll act on that, and then we'll have parcel B hearing. That parcel A is the larger plat, larger lot there, and we've entered into a purchase agreement to sell that to Bryce Floyd and Melissa Schilling. And Bryce is here in the audience today. And we had previously entered into a purchase agreement for a sale price of $5,800 for that parcel. And what this is just the procedure that we go through.
Lean forward for the mic.
Okay, and this is the procedure that we go through required under Iowa code to sell real estate. So we're just kind of consummating that purchase agreement that we previously entered into. And we have to do that with a public hearing, then we'll have a resolution after this.
All right, is there any comment on this item? Lindsay, have you received any correspondence on this item?
I have not.
Okay, very good. Okay, seeing no comments, then we'll close the public hearing at 6:26 p.m. Now, we just had a public hearing on the item, and we need to take action to approve the resolution. Does the council have anything to add or to change? Okay,
Motion to approve.
very good. Okay, Lester has a motion on the floor to approve.
Second,
Second,
We'll give that one to Baker. He got that one this time, so Baker's got. the
Okay.
second. Okay, Lindsay, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Riva,
yes.
Cool,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker.
yes,
Very, very good. Okay, the second parcel, we'll open the public hearing on that at 6:27 p.m. And the first parcel's been approved. Now the second is up for consideration of disposal. Jim, do you have any comments on the second parcel at all?
Well, this is parcel B. It is the smaller parcel, and this agreed sale price that we had previously entered into a purchase agreement for was for $2,900. And that is being sold to Robert and Kathy Van Dyke. They're the neighbors to the Floyds and the Schillings, one house to the south. So that'll take care of that little corner of the park that we previously agreed to convey. And that, like I say, that's for $2,900.
Very good. Any public comments at all? Hey, Lindsay, have you received any public communications? Or
I have Nope, I have not.
Okay, very good. Well, since I'm hearing no comments, we'll close this public meeting at this time. We just had a public hearing on this item, and we now need to take action to approve the resolution. Does the council have anything to add or to change?
Motion.
Okay, very good.
Second.
Motion by Lester, seconded by Baker. Lindsay, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cool,
Yeah.
Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
yes,
Riva.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Let's see.
I guess I just like to say, thanks to Mr. Floyd. He's been very easy to work with. He's been good to work with, and both parties have been good to work with on this.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that we were able to find accommodation and it all worked out. So that's good. All right. Now, the next item on the agenda is the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance. We have a desire to have them administer a rehabilitation program. The Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance is a newly established council of government serving central Iowa, and this organization is now available to help Norwalk administer our housing rehabilitation program. This program assists income qualified residents with needed home repairs. Program consists of a 5-year forgivable loan for eligible work at the maximum amount of $15,000. During the 2021 grant period, the city awarded 3 grants utilizing a total of approximately $36,000. Luke Paris, do you have anything to add to this?
Just to add on, and Gene mentioned a little bit in the CIP budget, we did apply for a grant from the Central Iowa Housing Trust Fund, and received that. It was $45,000. We'd asked for 50, but they had a lot of requests, so everybody got like 5%, 10% trimmed off. So, not the full amount, but still a good amount to pair with our $50,000 for that program. The way that things would work they would be doing a lot of the background work, reviewing applications, talking with project applicants, helping them find contractors and doing a lot of that legwork. And then we would still have the contracts and all that stuff come to the council for approval before anybody could start something. So what you all saw in the 3 grants that we did last year, we'll still have that portion come to council. But all that background work that I did last time, we'll be able to have their assistance to help with that. So I am greatly thankful for that. Going forward, if this is approved, I will work to get a meeting set up with that staff after their organization approves it, which would be on February 24th. So here early March, we would get together and kind of make sure that everyone's squared away with stuff. We've actually already got 4 applicants in for the new year of them, so I'll turn that stuff over and we'll get it rolling.
Good idea to me. Does the council have any comments or questions at all?
I just have one comment to correct something you said, Ed, so that everybody is aware. MIPA is not a council of governments. It's not a COG. So in case anybody was thinking that, just wanted to set that straight.
Okay.
I did not know that.
No, I didn't know that either. That's interesting. Okay, well, thank you. Would anyone care to make a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Very good, okay. I have a motion and a second. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Lester,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, thank you all. Okay, now time for council inquiries and staff updates. Oh, there we go.
There's still 2 more things.
No? Oh, there you go. All right. I'm sorry. It's right at the bottom of the page. Well, I don't want to not do that. Okay, now we'll have a second reading of an ordinance amending the Hughes Century Crossing planned unit development. This ordinance will amend the allowed land uses in Hughes Century Crossing planned unit development, parcel F, to add gas and service stations. Luke Ferris, do you have anything to add to this?
It's that simple. So no.
That's it, right at you. Okay, good. All right. Does the council have any comments at all?
Motion.
Yeah, I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Lester, Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Reba,
Yes.
Cool,
Yeah.
and Lester.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Now that concludes the business. And now we'll have council inquiries and stuff.
Now, isn't there another one?
Don't we have some more?
Yeah, one more.
Oh, okay, I don't have it on here. I'm sorry.
Right here. Right there.
Okay. Okay, we got discussion and feedback regarding the proposed Ruan Farm East development. This item is a general inquiry from a developer looking to develop a portion of the Ruan Farm. Vista Real Estate and Investment Corporation is in a due diligence period with the current property owner. That period will end prior to the city being able to approve any zoning or plotting for the proposed development. Vista is requesting any feedback on the proposal that might impact their preferred layout. Luke Paris, I will turn this over to you.
Sure. I'll give a quick rundown on things, and then we have Dean with CDA who's working on the design of it here to give a little more info and to answer any specific questions. But essentially, Ed followed along correctly. Vista Development is looking at the property east of Shadow Creek Estates. You can see it on the map on the screen, highlighted in yellow. looking to do a single family development in that area of about 154 lots. They're currently in a due diligence process with that. And a lot of times we would do a full preliminary plat review and everything during that period, but due to the timing of things, that period ends before we could have that before commission and council to get them a little more certainty with some things. So we just want to get a little feedback from council on this concept, as well as it's already gone to the planning commission earlier this week. And they've also talked with the Parks Commission about parks and a trail through there. So you can see there kind of highlighted. I threw the trails plan from the Parks Master Plan into this. The kind of west side of the development along the creek was intended to have a greenway trail. There'd long been talks about a green belt that would kind of go down to the golf course and then have to kind of jump around the golf course, but then go back into the area west of Legacy. And so this would be the kind of first start of that. We already got some ground in the Shadow Creek and the southeast corner for park down there. And then this would allow us to connect trail up to Beardsley and kind of really start that Greenways trail. So if you go to the last page, Luke, you can see the layout of this. Pretty standard layout. Because of the golf course and the existing Shadow Creek development and the creek itself, it kind of ends up being a closed off development. There's nothing to connect it to. The Legacy has cul-de-sacs. There's no connections there. There's no connections over to Shadow Creek. So it's one kind of just singular development, I guess. So we don't need to worry about interconnectivity with it. They did go to the Parks Commission again and talked about that Greenbelt Trail idea. And the Parks Commission was in favor of pursuing that. So we would look at something along that creek line to get that trail in as the park dedication. And then kind of on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, I guess I should clarify that the left-hand side is north and Beardsley. So in the south part of this development, it would cross over into Shadow Creek Estates development and the more formal parkland that we have there before the trail could connect over to the on-street trails in Shadow Creek and then head on to the west. I think that is kind of the high level side. Dean, do you have anything you want to add?
Thanks. Dean Roger with CDA. Just real briefly, I'll add a couple comments. Brian McMurray from Vista is also here. Yeah, as Luke mentioned, single family, looking to rezone to R160, all single family lots. Our two connection points are both on Beardsley because that's the only place we have to connect. Yeah, like Luke said, we met with the Parks Department and P&Z, and these guys are just on a tight time frame and wanted to get it in front of you guys to preview it and make sure you didn't have any questions, concerns, issues, comments. So that's really the only reason we're here.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I did also, just to circle back, one other thing that was challenging with this, I think we're all squared away with from everything, but from the public works side, sewering this was a little challenging based on where our trunk line to the Middle Creek sewer is on the west side of that creek. And I think you were able to get most everything sewer, but there are a couple lots that will have ejector pumps in them. Basically, they'll pump their basement sewage up to gravity. So
yeah, that area that's circled is the low part of the site, and we couldn't get sewer to that by gravity. So we're actually probably going to make a couple lots larger, lose a couple lots, and have a couple basements with ejector pumps, which we do quite often. That's not a big deal, but that's a low part of the site, and we couldn't get sewer across the channel because the sewer's higher than the actual channel, so it'd be exposed if we tried to do that, which we don't want to do. So that was a solution that made sense to everybody.
Okay, good. I guess I
I
have,
have,
go ahead. You have one?
actually, I have three. The first question is, I'd like to know what planning and zoning had to say. Second, Luke Paris, if you can, I'm not clear on how this this development connects to the parkland, you talked about it. Maybe you have to go back to the picture with the yellow square by Legacy. And then third, on these sewer pumps, I'm just curious, when somebody buys a house or a lot, that's probably not something that's on an abstract. So do people, will a homeowner understand what they're buying? Is there a disadvantage or is there less value to the house because they don't have that direct connection to the sanitary sewer like other houses do?
You want me to start?
Sure.
I'll let Luke talk about the P and Z and the connection exhibit. On the sewer item, yeah, that would definitely be disclosed to the buyers. It happens quite frequently in other cities where sewers are shallow. It's the whole house isn't on a pump, it's just the basement. So the sewers gravity feeds the whole main part of the house. It's just if you have bathrooms in the basement, those bathrooms just have to get pumped up.
Okay.
Yeah, it will all be disclosed to the owners, and these lots are actually the two lots that are going to be made larger because it's the low part of the site. So they'll actually be nice sized lots.
Stephanie, my in-laws had that in their house at one point, and they knew about it when they finished out their basement. They had to have that put in, and it just sounds like a sump pump running when it runs. So, and it's up.
Okay.
They knew about it because it had to be there. So.
Yep. You got a brother-in-law staying out in Colorado and you don't even know it's running.
Yeah, it's not the first owners I'm concerned about, it's the ones that come after.
Yeah, that's a point.
Are you
Okay.
done, Stephanie?
I had a question.
Well, I have the two other to answer.
Go ahead,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah, so P and Z, just had some similar questions about how the trail would work. If you actually, I think it'll be easier if you go back to the other line. And remember, this is a concept, so that they don't have trail graded out or ghosted in here, but it would essentially run, that red line kind of represents the floodplain for the 100-year flood of the creek.
Okay.
You can kind of use that as a guide of how we would connect down to the southwest. It actually might be easiest. Can I draw on your thing? I'm gonna draw on Luke Nelson's screen here.
There's the mouse.
Okay, so Shadow Creek's park is down here. And we already
Okay.
have, as part of that, we had them do crossing across the creek. 'Cause most of the flat space for that park was on the east side of the creek. So the general idea would be the trail would come up somewhere along here and make that connection up to Beardsley up here. And then it would, you can't see on, but it would eventually come across and get up into the Shadow Creek development, go to the west. So
will there be sidewalks along Beardsley, or will all the people in this development have to go onto Beardsley with their bikes or just walking in order to access the trail to get down to the park?
believe one of the comments from Parks Department was to look at doing connections out the back of these.
Yes, okay.
So P and Z didn't key on that part, but if I recall correctly, Robin told me that was one of the comments from Parks Commission. The other thing that P and Z really talked about was just the detention basins, if they would be in the city park or if they would be privately owned. We, as our standard requirement is we start with those being private. And if there's a amenity that the city maybe would want to take it on to own, we could look into that, but we usually consider those to be private. I believe, Dean, that you were looking at a couple of them might be wet bottom ponds, so
Correct.
we tend, in other developments, Parks has looked a little more favorably on accepting those as a park as opposed to a dry bottom basin. And I believe that would be the two bigger ponds would be potentially wet. So, that's something that's probably still up in the air as far as what the end result of things would look like, but that wouldn't necessarily change the layout of the development.
Right.
That was gonna be my question, out in the areas surrounding those water retention. Would would those be private parks, or would your expectation be that would be part of our public?
The plan right now, we're showing them as part of the HOA, so the homeowner association would maintain those. If the city wanted to make them part of the park, I'm sure that's fine also.
Good.
So that's a detail I think we're good with either way.
And there was no other feedback from planning and zoning?
No. Other than from a lot layout perspective, they were okay with that. And we talked a little bit about connectivity to other things. And, when we got our bearings on stuff, they understood that we can't make road connections to anything else in that area. So.
I'm done, Brian.
Okay, I've got, we just finished the comprehensive plan. And this is literally in between two very condensed areas, but yet we still had this posted as a larger lot area that we're gonna have to change now to 160.
This was in our new plan. This was a low density area, bounding the park or the golf course on the kind of east and the west, and then I think it's medium density. The Shadow Creek was already developed, but I think we called that medium density in the land.
That was medium? Wow, okay, I kind of guessed that was higher density. Okay.
No, when we got a little bit farther down into that Hackney Hills development that's west of here, then you jumped up in, but even that I believe was just medium density. So
Okay. All right, yeah, I was just confused by that. And Stephanie answered the other questions. Thanks.
So it's consistent with our zoning plan.
Right now, it's consistent with our land use plan. It's currently zoned ag, so their first kind of thing to do, in addition to prelim plating this and getting infrastructure figured out, would be to request a rezoning to R160 likely.
And look, these would all be public streets, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Is the fire department happy with the layout?
Did we review this one?
I don't think we've had that in front of you.
Yeah, this hasn't come through the fire department yet.
So what's your first blush?
I mean, that's a lot for us to look at right now at a first blush. I think that we got two ways in here. We've got short enough cul-de-sacs. First blush looks like it probably meets the requirements of what we would be looking at.
Okay.
Because we're there on that left side, right?
But I'm assuming, Chief Porter, part of your concern is just like they're talking to council,
Yeah,
until this goes through full review, we're just
right.
getting general
Right.
reactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've looked at previous things like this. We're looking at the length of the cul-de-sacs, making sure
Yeah.
the bulbs are wide enough for turnarounds. And we want to make sure we have two ways in and out of any neighborhood.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
My only kind of hotspot might be where that pond dam drains down into the backyards of people's houses and right up.
So
That's my only hot, but you guys are the engineers, you'll work it through. So that's what the planners and the engineers are for. But that's my only spot that I've used to fish the pond, so I've been back in there. But
And are you talking about where the red,
just the amount of water that runs out of that.
And the dam outlet itself is actually on the Shadow Creek spot. So a lot of the cul-de-sacs that are back there, some of them eventually do get close to the stream itself, but the actual outlet piece is
on Legacy?
The outlet from Legacy, it goes onto the Shadow Creek development, and then the creek kind of goes northeast and then along this side. So your outlet's down here.
Yeah, I think David's referring to the pond that's up there on the golf course.
on the east side.
Are you talking
East side, okay.
On the east side, yeah, the places you marked. Luke,
Yeah,
or-
that's,
yeah.
I was gonna,
I
yeah,
apologize,
no,
I wasn't looking at the screen.
You're going back to when I was 5 and 6 and 7 when we walked up and back up into those ponds, because it was all farm field.
That's a long time ago.
It was. I just remember that pond had a lot of water run around it, so I guess that's a concern, but you guys will work that through, so.
Yeah, we've thought through that. If you look real close at the concept, there's actually wide easements shown through that corridor to the pipe that through the development. So, yeah, we've thought through that.
Okay, good. Any other comments or suggestions here? Okay, well, thank you for coming before us, and I guess you have as much information as
Yeah, I think so. Brian, is there anything else? Looking forward to it. Yeah,
right.
appreciate it.
Thank
for your
you.
time.
All right. Let's see now.
Now, thumbs up, yes.
I tried to end this early. I'm sorry. Okay.
I
Council.
like your effort.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if the folks though that came before us would appreciate it. If they came all the way in here, then we didn't have it. Yeah, do you have any questions or comments?
Nope, we got, has been inquiries on certain nuisance, south side of town, and that is commenced in the courts right now, so. Don't have any hearing set or anything like that, but it's filed.
Okay, good. Questions or comments?
The P and Z met Monday and they had a pretty long meeting with a couple of things going on and some good discussion out of them, and we'll get to hear more of it on March 2nd, I'm guessing, so.
Okay, good. Stephanie, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a comment, and this is for Jean for budgeting. I mentioned this briefly before, but just so you're aware, Altoona, Des Moines, and Polk County are all now talking about withdrawing from NIPA. And if they do, and if NIPA continues to exist, that would just mean that our membership dollars, our fee, would probably go up to cover the lack of those other three jurisdictions. So just wanted to let you know for budgeting purposes, we've already had enough bad news, but that might happen. The NIPA renewal, I believe, is on a fiscal year basis, so that would be in July. That's
What
it.
is NIPA?
The Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance, that's our economic development
Okay.
organization.
Okay.
We'll have to keep an eye on that one. Okay, let's see. Yeah, do you have any? Oh, that's me, isn't it? Well, I'll just wait last. Okay, Luke.
Oh, yeah,
Fair.
I'm
You're
here.
normally over here, but I'm gonna turn this way tonight.
Sure. Just a couple things. Our January permit number was, oh, I just had it pulled up. So single family houses and townhomes for, January was 15 total, 13 single family, 2, townhomes. And that, actually exceeds what our 5-year average was, or rather our 6-year average. This analysis we've done, back during budget season, that average was 9 for January. And it's on track with what our 2021 number was. So that's encouraging after the fall of kind of lack of housing permits being pulled. And so far, kind of halfway through February, we're at 5. Our average in February is around 10. So I think we're so far at least a little bit back on track, at least in the slower months, you know. So it'll be yet to be determined how that picks back up into March and April as we start getting the months that we tend to be busier with permitting. So that's good. Also just wanted to run a quick update on our rental housing stuff. We've been working on that since December, a lot more formally. We did a review of water records and everything and made a determination of our best guess who had rental properties. So around, I think, 800 rental properties in town, about 250 single family home or townhome rental, and then the rest being apartment buildings, apartment units. So we're chunking those off about 50 at a time. Started that in December. We've issued 18 certificates. We've heard from all 50 of the people in our first round, and so we're working through getting the rest of those scheduled so we can inspect those. We sent out a second round of 50 at the beginning of February, and again, are taking applications and getting those people into the system and inspected. So it's a lot of things to go through. We kind of started with the single family ones to work through those. I think they're going to be the most tricky to get on board with everything. And then when we dive into the apartments, you know, it's going to be more work at once, but easier to get scheduled and figured out. So, yeah, we're chugging along with that. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you.
Luke, do we do any follow-up to see how many are actually started versus the permits pulled? Are they 100% or 80? Nationwide, they're close to 80 to 75%. I was just curious what we were.
You mean you're not
They
talking
pulled a
rental.
permit, but are they actually starting to build? That's my
As far as I know, all of the ones we have started to build.
wow. Okay, good. Thanks.
That's good. Harry, do you have any comments or questions?
I do not have anything tonight.
Okay, thank you. And Tony Belezzi, are you there? Okay, we'll move on. Wayne, do you have any comments or questions?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Chief Porter?
Just with the fresh snow, please remember to clear your hydrants. Councilmember Baker, if you could please have whoever's doing your driveway, clear your hydrants too.
Did you hear that, Baker?
Yeah, I didn't think they'd cleaned anything yet today, but I'm impressed. You're watching out for it.
Perfect. That's all.
Chief Staples, do you have any comments or questions?
I do. I drove to Indianola today for a meeting with the other law enforcement officials in the county. And I will say that on the way down there and in the little bit of Indianola I drove in, the roads were pretty crappy.
Yeah.
But on the way back, they were crappy all the way to when I got to the Norwalk city line, and then they were pretty clear. So I was very impressed with the plow work that our public works did. And it made the little section of the county I drove through look like they needed to come here and learn how to do it. And on that note, I know we got up to 22 snow ordinance tickets today. I don't know if we went past that or not. So anyways, everybody was out there working and I'm sure they were enjoying themselves.
Good.
That's all I got.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see, Jean, do you have any other comments?
I do not have any other comments. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Holly?
We did get an update from DeNovo about our project in Norwalk Central. So he said that the shop drawings for our city, so it's Field House building now. You see that name? The pre-engineered drawings we will have back by February 24th. So that'll be kind of cool. And then I think Luke is showing some of the updated renderings that we just got back today from them as well on just the whole area. It's looking pretty good. The only thing is we still have to drop in the sponsor names now that we have 3 or 4 sponsors on board. We will have brand new images that'll go up to the Norwalk Central website that'll show City State Bank and Greg Young and Mid-American Energy. And we have a few more coming for the interior of the building as well in the next couple of weeks. So it's looking pretty good. Everything's still on time as of right now, still receive everything when we're supposed to in June, and infrastructure is still on time and moving forward. So that's all going good. We have a lot of new activity happening south of Delaware with industrial projects. So that's pretty positive. Happy about that. This next Friday is Kosovo's Independence Day celebration at the Mac Culinary Institute from 5 to 8 p.m. So I think I sent that invite out to you all. If you do want to go, please just let me know or feel free to RSVP for yourself. And then in the next couple of weeks, I'll probably be gone, maybe at most a week, but I'm going to go down and see husband who's still stationed down in Biloxi. He's been there since October. Won't be back till June. To send him some
Wonderful place, Biloxi, Mississippi.
Yeah, it's not too terrible. But he's finished the first 2/3 of these blocks that they have to go through. And I've got to read this span of word salad. It'll be his hilarious title when he's done. He'll be a 17 Sierra Bravo Cyber Effects Officer when he's done. So, and it does suck. It's very hard. They test every couple of days, but he's built for that. So anyway, we'll be gone for a little bit, maybe in March to go down and see him. But other than that, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate all the hard work that you and your folks do too over there. And it's kind of fun watching the stuff come rolling in now with sponsorships and stuff.
Yeah, $635,000 they've secured so far. So
Yeah, nice stuff. So appreciate what you're doing. Hey, Jean, any comments?
I have a couple of news items. I've tried to impress upon everyone that the library is about more than books, and we do a lot with technology at the library. So we decided to formalize a technology team, and that is a group of staff members. So whenever anyone, a member of the public or city staff or whomever has an issue with a smartphone or a laptop, tablet, a sewing machine, a Cricut, whatever it is that's giving you some trouble, you can schedule an appointment with one of our staff members and we can spend some one-on-one time to try to help you through that, because it can get very frustrating, as I'm sure you know. And you can call or email to set up an appointment with us. And we are also working with Color Health to offer free COVID tests. In the spirit of keeping our staff and our patrons safe, we are doing them curbside. So members of the public can pull up to the library, call the library, a staff member will bring them a test, chuck it in their trunk, and people can do the test in their car, return it to a space within the library, and UPS will pick it up. It is no charge to the public for that, and they will be texted or emailed within 24 hours of what their results are. So we're kind of excited to be offering a little extra added value to our residents.
Pretty nice. I don't remember the libraries ever doing that before.
We try to do some new things.
Well, you're breaking new ground, I can assure you. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you. I hope so.
But Robin, do you have any comments or questions about anything? Okay, I don't hear Robin there. Lindsay, do you have any other comments about anything?
No, I don't. Thank you.
You're welcome. Brian, on Zoom, it says here. Do you have any comments?
Yes, I do. Real quick, a couple days ago, we had a meeting with MAC and had had legislatures on board, and it sounds like that 103% thing is there's a distinct possibility it's going to go through, and how that's going to work for us. I told them it's going to devastate growing communities, and they acted pretty unconcerned, but we got that going for us.
There you go. Yeah, it is a concern going forward. I was going to talk about that in just a minute. Jackie is not here this evening. And so Luke, do you have any comments?
Yeah, and I apologize. I've got a few of them. I'll try to move through these as quick as I can. So Jackie couldn't be here this evening, although she wanted me to bring up something about the Clocko proposal. So believe it or not, sometimes our elected officials don't necessarily see eye to eye on things.
No.
I know, it's kind of crazy. Jackie had requested an item come up on the agenda after there was some discussion about the Clocko proposal. Another council member had some concern that we were just repeating a decision that we had made before. I expressed that to Jackie, and she had a conversation. She sent me an email, and she said she understands that perspective, and her intent was not to cause that conflict. So she sent me actually a text message, and I typed it out here. She said that she just wants to know what the rest of the council thinks about the Clocko proposal. So this has to do with the Kobe Clocko that wants to divide a piece of property outside corporate limits to build a home on, doesn't fit within our comp plan. She just wants to go with the majority of what the opinion or the direction is of council. As it stands, I believe the first meeting in March, we have planned to have it come up on the council agenda for consideration by council. If the rest of council believes that that is a repeat or that we've already functionally made a decision to say no to that proposal, then she understands. She just wanted to make sure she expressed to council, she does want to see it come back forward. She wants the rest of council to discuss it and put forth thoughts.
Okay, we can probably take a quick straw poll here and see where people are at. David, what do you think?
I think it fits that area and that area. I think that if we can make it, I still think that if he could make that square and build his house on what would be a lot and making basically one lot that would be that house lot and the rest of it would be an outlot.
Yeah, you can figure out a way to comply.
To comply with the whatever the density, whatever it is, that would be my preference at this point if we can get it through. Because then it's meeting the spirit of the land use plan. Not necessarily.
I
don't
think,
know.
I
That's
think the
my-
only way to get to that end point of getting what he wants is to amend the comp plan. But I think the question is, if we bring back an amendment to the comp plan to allow this by a survey, what your opinion is on that.
Okay, Baker, what do you think?
Well, I think, David, what I thought what she was asking you of is not what it was the plan, but whether it was a repeat or not. He's in the exact same land. He's in the exact same spot that we discussed earlier. We'll have the exact same arguments about changing the comp plan or not. If this is not a repeat discussion and a repeat vote, I don't think I know what one is. I think if we all get one repeat vote a year, it'll really cause havoc with everything going forward and setting a precedent like this. None of this makes sense to me. We talked about it and we kind of, now even the fact that, well, we're going to take a straw poll, that is defined as a vote. A straw poll is a vote.
Okay, how about if you just give me your opinion?
I would say that a 3-acre lot in an area that we are moving to the southwest corridor, all of the lots on the other side of that street were actually subplotted out. They're much smaller. They're more like an acre a lot. His lot does not fit into that. I would say no.
Hey, Stephanie, do you have any thoughts or comments?
I think that it's pretty much what Brian said. I think it's a repeat item. I have no interest in revisiting it. And I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it now because it seems like we're discussing an item that's not on the agenda.
That's exactly right.
We are, but we're not taking action on it particularly.
Oh, we are. We are taking a
But-
strong vote.
Well,
Yeah.
You are, Ed.
if I could make my comment. Okay, my comment would be that I would support a policy that says the only time that we ever move away from our zoning plan, comprehensive plan, is when it's in the city's best interest to do so. And if that's our guide, then it's less likely that we're going to have as many, I think, issues come up, right? It'll be something that we decide basically what's in the interest of the city. If it's in the best interest of the city to make an amendment to our plan, then we would do it. If it's not, we won't do it.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I don't want to think of it in terms of the particular requests from these people. I got nothing against them. I really don't.
I don't have anything against
I
Clocko,
don't.
not at
I
all.
don't think, no, none of
Great
it.
family.
But I think where we're at is we're talking about if we're going to keep our comprehensive plan intact or not, or just let it go the way of the wind every time somebody wants something.
Jim, can we be having this conversation?
Well, let me just jump in and I just want to clarify that the purpose for the discussion is to find out if this is considered a repeat discussion of something that's already been decided.
We haven't even
My
talked
intention
about
is
that.
not-
I'm the only one that's talked about
It's a
that.
repeat. I think it's, we got 3 of us think it's a repeat. You think it's a repeat? No. 3 think it's a repeat.
Because the first one was this gets into the technicalities of it. The first one was correct me, Luke, the plat of survey, and this would be a land use amendment. So it's a different item. Might be the same thing in your opinion, but it's a different item.
So the feedback that I have that I can provide to Jackie or the mayor as far as setting the agenda in the future is that the perception by the majority of council is that this is a repeat item and you are not encouraging bringing this back to council for further discussion.
I think that'd be accurate.
Yes.
All right, that
Correct.
takes care of that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Next thing, the chief of police brought up, I don't know, it was maybe a month ago or something about encouraging if anybody wanted to do ride-alongs with the police department, he encouraged that. I had a Thursday pop up on my schedule. I had nothing on my calendar. So I reached, I know, it was great. Reached out and the chief had some sergeants put me in a couple different squad cars with people. Fortunately, one of the cars was decent. The second one, they made sure to put me in the worst car they have. I'm sure there was no hidden intent there. But a couple of they did a great job. Learned a lot. One was during the day. The other one was at night. I was really shocked. It's like somebody just turns a light switch off in Norwalk at about 11 o'clock. It was pretty quiet, which is a good thing. So
They didn't make you ride in the back, did they?
no. Fortunately, no, I got to sit up front. And then just today, having a snow event, Wayne reached out and plot me in one of their, actually a newer plow truck that has a lot more electronics and stuff that they can use to further dial in how they apply material to the roads. So I got to ride around, do ride along in a plow truck that was also educational. So thanks to the staff for doing that. The last item I have on my list, and I fear that this is going to lead to a long discussion, and I don't know that this is the best place for it, but rather just to make sure it's on everybody's radar screen about Senate Study Bill 1124. This is the property tax bill that Councilmember Baker brought up. I've got 4 main points I just want to touch on quickly. The main impact of this bill is that it limits our actual revenue year over year to 3.25%. Normally the state will modify what the rollback is, or they'll modify what our maximum levy. In this situation, they're starting to restrict the maximum at the end of the formula. So regardless of what our revenue is year over year, they're limiting it to 3.25%. This is devastating to a municipal government. I say that because a community like ours that grows double digits year over year, it rolls back everything to only allowing revenue of 3.25%. It almost disincentivizes any community from growing. Number 2, if there was any way to make a change on this, the number one biggest way to make a change is to have the implementation date be for fiscal year 25, not what they're talking about right now, which would be implementation of fiscal year 24. The budget that we just went through and worked on, functionally, my point 3 is that we would have to come in and drop off $1 million from the budget that was just considered by council, that we've done of our planning and the public hearing that's coming up at the beginning of March. So I'm going to repeat that. If there was one huge change at a minimum, that implementation wouldn't happen until the following fiscal year. That doesn't make the law any better, but that's a key point. The last item that I'm going to bring up is, all things being considered, our staff have already talked about this proposed legislation. Gene has been working on some budget numbers. We've already notified our staff that this is a major impact on the budgets, and we should start thinking strategically today, if that's implemented, what changes. And I am telling you, without beyond the shadow of a doubt, citizens need to understand that their level of service will drop if this legislation is passed. That's it. I'll stop there.
Gonna stop on the good news, huh?
I suspect this will end in a huge lawsuit of West Des Moines, Urbandale, Clive, Norwalk, everybody involved. Because the fact that they don't allow new development in there is absolutely ludicrous. I can understand the reoccurring, holding it to 3. It's crazy, but still. The fact that you put in a new data center and you don't get any of that tax, and I still don't understand where it all goes.
Well, I think, you know, I waited with my comments to last because I actually want to touch on this. First, Luke's right. We've got to be flexible in our approach because you don't know for sure what's going to come out of the capital, right? We don't even know what it'll look like in the end. But I think my opinion is they're approaching this the wrong way. Because by limiting it the way they're trying to limit it, right? We grow, what do we grow? Probably well over 10% a year.
13%.
13%. So, okay, so if you got let's say you got a business, right? And your market increased 13% every year, you get 13% more customers. And they're gonna let you have 3.5% more funds to provide services. I mean, that's about as stupid as you get. So we're gonna fall further behind every year. And people need to understand that the things that they enjoy here that brings us our quality of life, whether it's a swimming pool, the parks, a lot of the recreational things that we can provide, that we may not be able to provide those things. And you know, I want an ambulance to show up on time, that's competent, right? Has the right equipment.
Right.
I don't want my family to end up short. I want somebody to put the fire out when the house catches on fire. I want police to come when I call them. And I want to have enough of them there so they can do the job, right?
Yep.
But in order for us to do all those things, I mean, this is what's really asinine about this, and I'll just use that word, okay? Is that it's trying to drive with a hammer from the top down. It looks at all the communities as the same, and they're all different, right? Because some of us are growing, some of us are shrinking, some of us are stopped. But this treats everybody exactly the same, and the world is not that way. So hopefully, you know, hopefully smarter heads will prevail and they'll modify this legislation before it gets through. And perhaps they'll put a date on it that's further out, or maybe they'll try and figure out a way to time phase it in. You know, I don't know, but we can hope for those things and then talk to our representatives.
They were talking very sure of themselves the other morning, and they feel like politically they've got the backing of everybody's constituents.
Well, you know, I don't know very many people that aren't in favor of reducing taxes. Right? Most people are in favor of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's an easy point to make. You're right.
That's right. But I think realizing the impact. I mean, we understand the impact of services. Okay, we've got agreements that are out there, TIF agreements, right? And they're based on certain tax rates. What's the impact going to be on developers? Are developers going to come rushing in to want to do TIF agreements? I don't know. It puts a lot of stuff up in the air. And we've got stuff that's
changes everything.
You know, Luke, I'm sorry, Ed.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I mean, I know that the mayor is not feeling very well right at the moment, but I wonder, is this something you can cover in a mayor's moment or a City of Norwalk post or something to get the citizens aware of what's going on? Maybe we get a grassroots revolt or response to this?
Yes, we can.
But that's touchy.
Yeah, I know it's difficult to do it.
I mean, we could make that attempt. I haven't had a one-on-one with the mayor about it to go down that path. I'm been a little bit shocked at how quick the legislature appears to be moving on a number of different bills, and this is just one of them. But on one hand, I hear people say, oh, they're going to make the change and they'll delay that and they're not going to include new growth. But then just like Brian brought up, then I
just read it. Yeah.
Yeah, I sat through a 2-hour subcommittee for Ways and Means, and I did not hear any indications that they were talking about making amendments. So Stephanie, to answer your question, yes, I'll make a note of that. I'll talk with the mayor and see if there's something we can do to put a note out. I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to go to our citizens and say, hey, if this happens, the sky falls. I want to make sure people understand we're going to do our best to continue to supply services, but this is likely one
Right.
of those changes that it kind of quietly happens in the background until somebody needs a certain service, like calling the ambulance,
Right.
like PD, finding out that the library doesn't have the same hours that they used to, finding out the pool's no longer open. Those might sound like extreme things, but the kind of number we're looking at, that's the reality.
Right. Okay. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks for ending on a happy note.
And on that bright,
Well, the snow is pretty outside. That's
And on that bright cheerful note. And I want to echo what the chief said about our public works folks and the job they did with the street. It's very, very good. Good job. And not to criticize our sister city, Indianola, so much, but I think that we've made pretty good improvements on the streets here anyway, overall in our community. And so I'm pretty proud of that whole effort. At any rate, can I have a motion to adjourn?
motion.
All right, Baker.
Second. Second.
Stephanie second. Okay, been moved and seconded. Lindsay, would you call the roll?
Just a voice vote.
Oh, voice
Aye.
vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Well, the motion is passed. We're adjourned. All right.
Thank you, Ed.